Hello, St. Paul's, it's Pastor Juniper, and today's devotion about John chapter 9 is adapted from a reflection originally written by Minister Melina Thurmond for a devotion series from St. Olaf College. And our gospel reading this past Sunday showed Jesus giving sight to a man who had been blind from birth. And once he could see, those in his community brought him before the Pharisees to figure out how this happened. And then they brought him before his parents to see if they knew how this happened. And they brought him back to the Pharisees, who scolded him for saying that Jesus was a prophet, because Jesus was stirring up trouble, and he had healed the man on the Sabbath. No one seems to listen to the man about his own experience, whether because they see him as less than because of his disability, or because they don't want to believe it, or they didn't want his story to spread. And eventually they end up driving him out of the temple, and he is alone again. We probably don't have to turn far to find a he said, she said scenario in either our personal lives or in the public square. As human beings, we're easily influenced by the words and rumors of others, especially when there's something inside of us that wants to believe that a particular something is true. I grew up as social media was just getting started, and I know how firsthand how something can be totally different online versus IRL. Especially now with the prevalence of AI in nearly every aspect of our lives, it's difficult to know with any certainty what is true and what is fabricated to get our attention. Sometimes it seems as though we're stuck between a rock and a hard place when it comes to figuring out what to believe. Do we believe someone's words? Do we look to their actions? How often do we believe what someone says without verifying it for ourselves? What captures and holds our attention? We can also wonder the same things about our faith. What captures and holds our attention in the scriptures? I know for a fact if someone came up to me and told me that a random man had rubbed dirt on their eyes and now they were able to see, I would have a really hard time believing that. First, I would be suspicious and wonder if they really couldn't see in the first place or if this was just some kind of stunt. And second, I would be concerned for their mental well-being. Where would we be inclined to focus our attention in such an experience? And is it possible that there's more than one right answer to our questions? And what about in our own lives of faith? Where do we direct our attention? What holds our attention? In this story, the more the man who was given sight tells his story, the more it becomes about Jesus, and the less it becomes about him. The more his attention is focused on Jesus, the less his attention is distracted by what others are saying and doing. It's not a he said, she said kind of story. Instead, it becomes, here's what Jesus did and who Jesus is kind of story. There is good wisdom there for all of us. The center of our faith is Jesus. And that is what, by the grace of God and the power of the Holy Spirit, captures and holds our attention. And for our devotional practices this week, as we've been using our calendars that are available at the back of the church, or you can just listen to what I have to say to you each week. Either way is fine. And I didn't plan it this way, but one of the suggestions for this week is to fast from screens as much as your life allows you to today. I know the more we are able to interact with each other face to face and touch grass, as they say, the more we're able to get out of our own heads and really hear what other people are saying and be in relationship. And another one is give from the wish list of a shelter of your choice. I know the Wisconsin Humane Society has specific wish lists of things that they need. I know Street Angels is an organization that we have supported as a church in the past. They are always looking for new or used clothing to give out to folks. Or if you have another organization in the area that you are particularly connected to or passionate about, I encourage you to look at their website or give them a call to see what they might be in need of. And you never know, you might be able to provide just what they need. So I pray that we might be able to hold this lesson in our hearts this week, that we might be able to focus our attention on Jesus instead of all the other things that distract us in our lives. Thank you for listening.